Hey, this is Dan from Twisted Blade Gaming, and yeah, you read the title right. In this video, I'll be telling you about what happened when I attempted to play through and beat Sonic 1 and CD at the same time. Here's the rules. One Xbox controller plugged into two different emulators playing two different games at the same time. If I press right on the controller, both Sonics move to the right. If I press jump, both Sonics jump, and so on. My goal is to beat both games as quickly as possible by playing through them both at the same time. The challenge ends when I beat both games or if I get a game over in either game. I am not attempting to get the emeralds or time stones. Glitches are okay, but I will tell you later on if I think this challenge is possible glitchless. Incoming disclaimer. Sonic 1 is running on a Kega Fusion emulator and Sonic CD is being run on a Sonic Gems Collection Plus ROM via a PCSX2 emulator. Note, Sonic CD did seem to run at a lower frame rate. It's probably just bad emulation. I did try a bunch of different emulator and ROM combinations to get both games to run smoothly, but after exhausting all my ideas, shy of buying a second monitor and a bunch of adapters, this ended up being my only way to even attempt the challenge. The lower frame rate did result in a few button presses being missed by CD, but this only occurred a few times and it provided no advantage during the challenge. If anything, it made the challenge a little harder because both Sonics moved at slightly different speeds. Finally, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Nathaniel Bandy and Billy Bob, as it was their stellar content doing challenges like Can You Beat Sonic Mania Without Pressing Left or Right that inspired this run and inspired me to make this video. So, with all that being said, it's time to answer the question, can I beat Sonic 1 and CD at the same time? Okay, so first stage theoretically should be the easiest, right? Yeah, they served as pretty good locations to get used to controlling two Sonics through two different zones. I want to make sure that both Sonics have rings at all times because damage boosting is an essential strategy in this challenge. Once we have our insurance policy taken care of, I remember that Palm Tree Panic starts off with this giant ramp. Running up it begins an automated sequence, so I assume that player input was taken away momentarily, thinking I can move Sonic 1 forward a little bit without having to worry about where I was moving CD. But I was wrong and jumped out of the sequence whilst attempting to jump up this ramp in Sonic 1. In my defense, Sonic CD is my least played classic game, so yeah. After a quick readjustment, I successfully guide CD up the ramp and pick up the invincibility monitor in Green Hill Zone. Trying to make the most out of the power up, I rushed to advance Sonic 1 forward, but in doing so ran CD straight into an Anton Badnik, not him. In hindsight, while Sonic was invincible in one game, I should have focused on the non-invincible Sonic because I wouldn't have needed to have worried about where I'd led the other one because he was invincible, but it's fine. After CD grabs the shield, I realised there is a way to kinda sort of control CD separately in the form of a very lackluster spin dash. Being able to move CD in any horizontal direction without moving Sonic 1 was definitely going to come in handy, such as at the end of Green Hill 1. See, I wanted to try and have both games finish each level relatively close to one another, so I had Sonic 1 wait before the signpost and spin dash Sonic CD forward to try and catch up. Figuring that Palm Tree Panic 1 was nearing its end, I zipped Sonic 1 past the signpost to complete Green Hill Zone 1. And a few seconds later, Sonic CD completely goes Save Me Rose to end Palm Tree Panic Act 1. By the way, the whole getting both games to finish each act close together was a self-imposed rule that quickly got dropped. My goal was simply to complete both games as quickly as possible by playing them both at the same time. However, I do feel that requiring each game to finish each act within a minute or so of each other will probably make for a more concise challenge, but moving on. Green Hill 2 starts as CD's busy counting points. I got a pretty good head start by taking my usual route, nabbing some speed shoes and an extra life. Finally, I smashed an invincibility monitor and used the momentum to bounce over the majority of the spike and death pit below. Satisfied that 97% of Green Hill 2 was done, I used this little rock to allow me to move Sonic CD without advancing Sonic 1. But before too long, I decided to move Sonic 1 to the end of Green Hill 2, giving me the opportunity to get through CD's Palm Tree Panic Act 2 as normal while Sonic 1 tallied up the score. As Sonic 1 loads in the final Green Hill Zone, the final one, right, we never get to play Green Hill again, huh? Yeah, I mean, you'd think they'd to bring that back into the series. It's such a popular level. I mean, you'd have thought Sega would have. As CD goes through an automated pipe, I focus on 1 hitting the invincibility box at the start of Green Hill. CD stumbles into this quarter pipe area with springs at the top. Feeling this was a fairly safe place to leave CD, where I wouldn't need to worry about where I was directing him while I focused on Sonic 1. Plus, I wanted to take advantage of Sonic 1's invincibility. A few seconds and 1 more invincibility monitor later, we arrive at the first boss in the challenge. While I was wrecking Eggman, the same button presses caused CD to run into a Tamabo. That bad, Nick, but it wasn't much of an issue as we made quick work of Green Hill Zone 3. Once again, while 1 counted the completion score, I focused on CD. Marble Zone Act 1 loads in, we closed in on the end of Palm Tree Panic 2, but again, I had to divert my attention to 1 because of the wonderful lava platforming section. I really didn't want to risk losing any lives in this playthrough. Once I found a place that seemed safe in Marble Zone 1, I spin dash Sonic CD to the end of Palm Tree Panic 2, though having to jump over this completely unnecessary rock in CD did cause 1 to fall into the lava. As we begin the Palm Tree Panic 3 boss, we stumble across almost a mini challenge within this challenge. See, this boss is notoriously easy, and you even get given an invincibility monitor beforehand. So basically, you just gotta jump at the thing till the thing goes away, but over in Sonic 1 land, I'd ended up in a lava-ridden platforming section, greatly limiting my manoeuvrability. So, having to jump around enough to hit the boss in CD without going so far as to dip Sonic 1 in lava, all before the invincibility in CD runs out, all made for a pretty unique boss fight. But nonetheless, Robotnik was a cakewalk as we closed the Palm Tree Panic chapter of this story. CD finally enters Collision Chaos just as 1 finishes Marble Zone Act 1. Again, as the score in 1 game tallied up, I tried to run through the other level as quickly as possible. After busting out Super Peel Out and giving 0 fucks about Metal Sonic kidnapping Amy, we race into Collision Chaos. Things were going pretty well, even after Marble Zone 2 started. In fact, I was able to use some of Marble Zone's level design to focus on CD. Moments later in CD, we reach this area where there's a lot of bumpers, and if you aren't careful, you can be bounced all over the place, essentially losing control. In the usual playthrough, areas like these are quite tedious, but in this run actually become pretty useful. The plan was to guide Sonic 1 through this lava pit, while CD aimlessly bounces about on the bumpers. But things actually went even better than expected, as I ran through a future sign and proceeded to time travel, giving me a few seconds to finally guide Sonic 1 through the lava pit. After safely making our way to the upper area with a few monitors, we used this room to somewhat safely guide CD through Collision Chaos 1, but with no time to waste, I make a mad dash for the Marble Zone 2 finish line, only to be stopped in my tracks by this stone that you have to move very slowly. A little bit into Collision Chaos 2, I try a big brain strategy, thinking you could maybe lock CD in a spin dash and then just move 1 on his own, as long as I kept the down button held down, and it did actually work. In hindsight, this technique probably could have been used more throughout the run. I think I only used it this one time, or even attempted it this one time, but yeah, this was the thing you can do. After clearing the lava in Marble Zone 1, I focused on CD, feeling a bit unsure of where to go next. I remember that in my normal run of CD, this is where I'd use the loop to travel to the past and escape through the gap in the ceiling. So not only would it help going the route that I'm used to, but also time travelling means a few seconds to get Sonic 1 through the rest of Marble Zone 2. After clipping through this pinball flipper, I mean, talk about Collision Chaos, am I right? No? No? Okay. I accidentally catch a future sign, but CD continues to make its way to a high area and quickly heads back to the present, affording Sonic 1 a few more moments of normality to race to the end of Marble Zone 2. I did get a bit jump happy at the end and accidentally jumped into a giant ring. I had no intentions on getting an emerald, but the first special stage is pretty easy, so managed to get the emerald, no big deal. Also, it did provide a bit of extra loading time to focus on CD and finish Collision Chaos 2, so that helped. But this is where things started to get really challenging. Anyone who's played Sonic CD knows how, we'll say interesting, the Collision Chaos boss is. It's essentially a pinball boss. I wanted to guide Sonic 1 somewhere that I could freely press left and right in order to finish the Collision Chaos boss. But still with a good portion of Marble Zone 3 left, I couldn't press right too much without initiating the Collision Chaos boss fight. It was here that I figured I could move Sonic a few steps forward, then make CD spin dash to the left and keep buying myself a few more right presses on Sonic 1. Though trying to spin dash CD while Sonic 1 was moving on the platform was not as safe as I thought it was. Luckily, I bought myself enough right presses to clear the lava geyser without starting the Collision Chaos boss. But I made a big mistake. Not realising CD hadn't turned left like I'd pressed, I quickly began spin dash, and so the second I pressed the button, I realised that basically it was facing the wrong way, and the minute I let go of the button, I was going to be dangerously close to starting the boss fight. And it was the worst possible time to do so in Sonic 1, because of the heavy platforming section that's very easy to fall down and lose a life on. But there's no going back now. After coming through the end of the secret path in Marble Zone 2, I jumped to a platform, but for some reason when CD did the same jump into this thing that you're supposed to break through, he instead took damage and clipped through it. I mean, talk about collision chaos, am I right? I tried to jump back down, not wanting to start the boss fight yet, especially because there was a super dangerous platforming bit coming up in Marble Zone, and so I wanted to clear that area before starting the Collision Chaos boss. But that didn't exactly work out either, by which I mean I started the Collision Chaos boss in quite possibly the worst place I could land in Marble Zone 2. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Thinking this tricky platforming section is precise but short, I should focus on that and just hope that CD can survive. CD took some damage, but thankfully one made it to a slightly safer area just before the screen locks at the Marble Zone boss fight, so to avoid playing against literally two bosses at once, I didn't want to press left or right unless I absolutely had to. But also every time I pressed jump to flip the flipper in CD, Sonic 1 would obviously also jump. But the problem with that was the platform Sonic 1 was on was curvy, meaning that even without any directional presses, Sonic would still jump forward and back depending on where you jump from. Again, in hindsight, I could have gotten away with a few left presses, but knowing that I would instinctively press right as soon as I'd gone too far left to kind of readjust, I felt that it was probably just for the best that I not press any directional buttons. So I didn't, and beat the Collision Chaos boss essentially jump button only. There were some hairy moments, but somehow I managed it, and before the seeds from the destroyed capsule could even touch the ground, I landed the first strike on the Marble Zone boss. With CD busy racking up the score again, I was able to dispatch of Eggman for the second time within a minute to end Marble Zone 3. We start off in Tidal Tempest and quickly enter the water, which was something that had potential to cause problems because now not only did I have to worry about guiding two Sonics through two different levels, but I also had to worry about one of them drowning. At this point I was just grateful that the run happened to not land me in Labyrinth Zone and Tidal Tempest at the same time. I'll take my water levels one zone at a time, thank you very much. In Spring Yard, I wanted to use a spring to go to the top platform and collect a life and speed monitor, but whilst I was busy trying to reach it, I almost allowed CD to drown. Whoops. Fortunately, a spring thrusts me into the air and allows me to land on a platform for this utter BS to happen, so I decided to jump back down into the water. Realising I'm close to a few springs that will bounce me out of the water if I get too close to drowning, I focused on Sonic 1 and grabbed the speed shoes and extra life and proceeded through the zone as quickly as I could. As the power up runs out, I completely fluffed the landing on this platform, but on the upside I did find an invincibility monitor, so you know, I'm counting that as a win. I smashed the monitor and blazed through the spiked walls without a care and finished Spring Yard Act 1, being careful not to jump into another giant ring. Thankfully, at the beginning of Spring Yard 2 there is this half pipe section which provided a somewhat safe place to keep Sonic 1 while I tried to navigate CD out of the water. I was really close to drowning but got shot out of the water just in the nick of time to conclude Tidal Tempest. In Tidal Tempest 2, I decided to go to the pass because not only was it the route in CD I was most familiar with, but it also afforded me enough time to get one outside of this secret dead-end path. This was one of the times where the time travel mechanic was strategically used to let me control Sonic 1 solo. With CD contained in this convenient hidden room, I make a frame-perfect jump to the upper path of Spring Yard Zone 2 and complete the act. At the beginning of Spring Yard 3, I wanted to do this really cool trick where you roll down the slope and ricochet off the bumper and then hit the shield monitor and then bounce straight back up and collect the ring box all in one cool fluid motion, but I completely fluffed it. In my defense, CD was busy drowning at the time, so you know, priorities. A bit later on I reached this point where the two layouts of the levels conflict. It seemed that trying to advance forward in CD meant me going backwards in 1. Eventually I come up with this big brain strategy of timing my right presses so that Sonic 1 would push against this moving platform, allowing me to get CD through the area that it was stuck in. With my big brain in full flex mode, I reached this point in CD where it's very easy to get crushed by an off-screen moving pillar if you're not careful. Playing it safe, I stop and wait for the pillar to drop and raise, allowing me through. But in trying to make sure I don't get crushed in CD, I instead get crushed in Spring Yard Zone. Bruh. But we finished Tidal Tempest Act 2 as Spring Yard 3 loads up again. On the upside, I got another chance to do that cool trick that I botched earlier in Spring Yard and Fortunately, the beginning of Tidal Tempest Act 3 starts with a pretty empty area, meaning as long as we make sure not to start the boss fight, we should be able to focus on getting Sonic 1 through Spring Yard Act 3. We do a big bounce off an invincibility monitor and quickly, but carefully, navigate the bottomless pit to reach the Spring Yard Zone boss area. A reoccurring part of this challenge was finding safe areas in one game in order to deal with or focus on a boss or tricky platforming section in the other. The boss fight went down without a hitch and we finally leave Spring Yard Zone. Awesome. So, what's next? Oh no. Early in Labyrinth Zone 1, there was a pretty clear area with a few bubble spots, which should allow me enough space to take on the Tidal Tempest boss. Eggman, Dr. Eggman actually saves my life as the boss fight starts. Thanks Eggman, maybe you're not so bad after all.
He helps nice people.
After a bit of dodging, I get lucky and catch Eggman through the gap in the bubbles and put an end to this watery crossover. As soon as I lose control of CD, I rush down to the bottom of Labyrinth Zone to hit the switch, race back up to the top while narrowly avoiding some Jaws badniks to hitch a ride on the secret platform above, essentially skipping like 95% of Labyrinth Zone Act 1. As the score tallies up, we've already made our way through a portion of Quartz Quadrant Act 1 and complete it within the first minute of Labyrinth Zone 2 starting, and by the time Quartz Quadrant 2 had loaded, we'd already made some good progress through Labyrinth Zone 2. We somehow don't hit this spike ball and grab an invincibility monitor just in case I get the next bit wrong. See, it's here I decided to do my first of 2 glitches in the run. If you time your jump correctly, you can activate the switch, land on the platform as it moves, and get pulled into the wall. All you have to do afterwards is hit left and zip to the end of the level.
Nobody wins when you cheat. Playing fair is the only way to go.
We get some nice speed through Quartz Quadrant 2 as Labyrinth Zone scores up. And after some waterfall shenanigans in Labyrinth 3, we find a good place to store Sonic 1 so we can focus on advancing CD forward a bit more. After Quartz Quadrant 3 loaded and Labyrinth 3 is nearing its end, I realised once again I could potentially end up in 2 boss fights at the same time. One being where you need to hold down right to run on a conveyor belt and avoid spikes while dodging bombs, and the other requiring super fast but super accurate platforming, all whilst trying to outrun the rising water. Trying my best not to jump up the bricks in Labyrinth, we begin to focus on the Quartz Quadrant boss fight, and I'll be honest, it got really close. I got very close to losing a life, but somehow we pulled it out. And with one press of the jump button, I simultaneously smashed the C capturing CD and begin the final ascent through Labyrinth Zone. I wanted to finish this tricky boss before the next level in CD could begin, and while it wasn't flawless, we do some pretty sweet platforming to get through the boss with ease and put an end to the water levels of this run. Oh, thank God. The water levels were my biggest concern. Now that they're out of the way, we should be fine, right? I mean, it's not like there's any more levels coming up that are difficult and kind of change how you control. What do you mean, look at the screen? Wait, is that? A few minutes into Wacky Workbench, we end up in some top area, and because I'm already sick of this level, I decide to focus on Sonic 1, and sure enough, a few moments later, we reach the end of Starlight Zone Act 1. I suppose I should try and get this first act of Wacky Workbench done, huh? After enduring a couple of minutes of frustrating level design, we mercifully end Wacky Workbench 1. Before things could get really crazy in Wacky Workbench 2, we complete Starlight Zone Act 2 in Sonic 1, and begin Act 3 by going down this very steep hill. Seconds later, I accidentally dropped down to the bottom area of Starlight Zone, This wasn't good because I very rarely take this route. Not familiar with the layout, and the reason I avoid this area is because it's riddled with bottomless pits and lots of cheap ways to take damage. But after some hiccups, we finally make it to the Starlight Zone boss. While I've completed Sonic 1 countless times, I'm still not brilliant at this boss. Lots of missed opportunities to land hits, but still no major issues to report as Starlight Zone comes to a close. Our first minute in Scrap Brain Zone, we go absolutely nowhere as we take full advantage of CD's super peel out to put an end to my pain and eternal suffering, or as Sega would call it, Wacky Workbench 2. As CD celebrates another complete level, we move Sonic 1 across Scrap Brain Zone, hoping to get past some of the tricky platforming before we regain control of CD. We make it to the upper path, which is the easier and more familiar route. I reach a section in Scrap Brain where there's these platforms that appear and then disappear. Realising that Wacky Workbench 3 is basically just a boss level, I need to keep CD to the left but move Sonic 1 to the right and forward on these platforms. I use the earlier strat of taking a few steps right and then spin dashing CD to the left to pretty good results, allowing me to complete Scrap Brain Zone Act 1. Hoping to make it to the boss area before Scrap Brain 2 can load, I make a mad dash for Eggman, but don't make it too far thanks to our old friend, the bouncy floor. Sonic 1 nearly caught his nose on fire while guiding CD to the boss fight, but it was fine. Unfortunately, this boss fight doesn't really require a lot of movement, so one should be safe where he is at the start of Scrap Brain Zone Act 2. After another scary moment with the fire and Scrap Brain, we land the last hit on the Wacky Workbench boss and instantly turn our attention to Scrap Brain Zone 2. Turns out the area after the Wacky Workbench boss is empty, meaning I was able to get through a portion of Scrap Brain Zone 2 before even hitting the capsule to officially end Wacky Workbench and move on to CD's penultimate zone, Stardust Speedway. As the act starts, we run through the Bitch for Cure Rings hallway in Scrap Brain Act 2, but cheap hazard placement aside, we finish the act and traverse Stardust Speedway without too much of a problem. CD travels to the future, while Robotnik drops Sonic 1 into Labyrinth Zone Act 4, Scrap Brain Zone. Crap Brain Zone, that also works. No, I like the level, it's just painful at times. And it's here, in the final full level of Sonic 1, we perform our final glitch. After causing a little collision chaos of my own, I clip into the wall and nope my way straight to the end of the level. After guiding CD to a clear area between the two loops, I proceeded to confront Eggman in Sonic 1 for the final time. And yeah, thanks to the safe placement of CD, we were able to fight the final boss like a completely normal playthrough. One last hit as Eggman made his getaway meant that all I had to do was finish off Stardust Speedway and survive Metallic Madness Zone in Sonic CD to complete this challenge. It took way longer than I'd like to admit, but I finally finished Stardust Speedway 1 and 2, and I am blaming the amount of paths and routes in this level. I feel like the intern at Sega asked the lead level designer, "Sir, how many paths do you want Stardust Speedway to have?" And the designer slowly leaned into him and replied, "Yes!" Anyway, I did lose a life racing Metal Sonic in Stardust Speedway 3, but I had no problems on the second attempt. Metallic Madness was not a smooth playthrough. Lots of rings flying everywhere. Sonic took a lot of damage, and you know what else took a lot of damage? My will to live. Mostly because of these springs that send you flying in the opposite direction of the way you're trying to go, and they are absolutely everywhere in Act 1. Also, I'm glad I caught this BS on video. So you see here, me begin this spin dash next to a moving barrel. But when the barrel comes back down, I get crushed. Fortunately, I'd literally just got a checkpoint, so this death resulted in 0 loss of progress, I guess. So it's fine. I'm annoyed, but it's fine. Truth be told, they were the only things of note, as the rest of the act mostly blew by. The same could be said for Act 2. I did get this funny glitch where Sonic span on the wheel on his head. Okay. I did try to get on the ceiling in certain areas in order to run over portions of the level, but I wasn't able to pull it off, so I just continued through the act as normal. I usually get lost on this act shortly after being shrunk, and well, this playthrough was no different. But after going around in a few circles and waiting an eternity for these descending platforms, we passed the final signpost of this challenge. At the start of Metallic Madness Act 3, I go to the top and do some precise maneuvering to grab an extra life, just in case. My concern wasn't the upcoming boss, it was getting to the room in the first place thanks to the revolving platform bumper filled death pit. Thank you, Sega. How did it go? Well, not brilliant, but thanks to some more We cheese our way through, beat Bop the Hotaru Badniks, and confront Eggman in one final epic showdown, where all the skills I'd acquired throughout this challenge will be put to the ultimate test. And yeah, this boss is laughably easy, especially if you don't mind losing and then recollecting some rings to get in some early hits. And with that, I can confirm that I was able to play through Sonic 1 and CD at the same time and complete them both in the same run. Yeah, I really enjoyed this challenge. It came with a lot of mini challenges between the two games, from jump only boss fights to using time traveling CD to buy a few moments to control Sonic 1 alone. A couple of times I ended up doing mini boss rushes, kind of defeating one boss in one game to immediately start another boss in another game, and trying to beat that boss before the next act loads. Made for some pretty cool challenges, but kind of refreshing experience for two games that I've played the hell out of individually. Also, I should mention, because I kind of forgot to in the main portion of the video, that yes, I 100% believe it is possible to do this challenge completely glitchless. The two skips that I used in Sonic 1 only shaved off a few minutes of total playtime, so yeah, that answers that question. Of course, now the mind wanders to what other game combos you could use. Sonic 1 and 2, 2 and 3, 1 and 3, you know, throw CD, Sonic Mania in there as well. Maybe some obscure titles like Knuckles Chaotix, or you know, Sonic and Mario dual play, or Resident Evil 1 and Resident Evil 2. I think for me next, I'm leaning probably towards doing Sonic 1 and 2 at the same time, but if you'd rather see a different combination of games, I'm open to the idea of doing that instead. But yeah, let me know what you think of the challenge. Thanks so much for watching this video. Shout out to all of the awesome YouTubers I mentioned at the beginning that kind of inspired this run and inspired this video, and yeah, I'll see you next time. See ya.